Down, presented by DoorDash.
Welcome back to Phoenix Suns Arena as we get you ready for Game 1 of the NBA Finals between the Bucks and the Suns. There's the reason. That's it right there. The Larry O'Brien Trophy, and for the second year in a row, when it's presented to the NBA champions, it will be in a bespoke Louis Vuitton travel case. And now it's my pleasure to welcome in Malika Andrews, who will be on the sideline for the first time in an NBA Finals game in her career. But she's not the only newbie, because there's actually only one player that has Finals experience that will be on the court here tonight. That's Jay Crowder. He has 6 games of experience, and there's no one on either team that's won a championship, Malika. So how are both teams handling the inexperience?
Well, Maria, you mentioned it. That means 32 of the 33 players that are here that are about to play tonight, they have no championship Finals experience. And so what I have been told is the Bucks all year long, they have had this mentality of we're not going to get too high and we're not going to get too low. And yeah, it's a little bit cliche, but they're planning to try to keep that mentality here, especially now that Giannis Antetokounmpo is returning. And then on the other side of the ball, the Phoenix Suns, Devin Booker said, you know what, we may not have championship experience, we may not have Finals experience, but we have been through a whole lot in this Finals run. And so he said we're going to be relying on that. We're going to be relying on the experience that Chris Paul has had, even if it's not in the Finals, as we try to embark on this journey. And Monty Williams said that when he was talking to the guys earlier in the day and trying to go through their game plan, he kept hearing, Coach, we got it, enough. We are just ready to play, Maria.
I'm sure they are, and fans on both sides are ready for a championship. The Suns, it could be their first in franchise history, and for the Bucks, their first in 5 decades. Malika Andrews will be on the sideline for Game 1 of this NBA Finals. Obviously, Devin Booker's been showing out and being showcased during his first postseason appearance.
So the first thing they teach you in journalism school is don't be the story. And I don't plan to break that rule today or distract from a fantastic Finals. But I also don't want to let this moment pass without saying how much I respect, how much I value our colleagues here at ESPN, how deeply, deeply sorry I am for disappointing those I hurt, particularly Maria Taylor, and how grateful I am to be part of this outstanding team.
Well, Rachel, I want to say thank you. Thank you for accepting responsibility for your actions. You know, as someone that has known you for a long time, you know, being around you, you have treated me with the utmost respect, and you always made me feel comfortable in your presence. And I know your heart. You know, great person, great individual. I also know Maria Taylor, great person as well. Very, very talented, hardworking, and I feel like she also deserves every opportunity that is presented her way. My only hope is that we have a commitment overall to support each other through this process and continue to support each other through our journey.
No, I agree with Perk. Let me first say this. I fully support Maria Taylor. I've worked with her since I joined ESPN at Get Up and Countdown, and I've known Rachel for 20 years. Rachel and our entire group here have had some very difficult conversations over this time period, and those conversations don't end here. We will continue to have uncomfortable conversations. No one is excused. She is not excused. I am not excused. Perk. This doesn't just go away, but we have to learn and understand it and become better for each other, and really through our actions more than anything, and that is our responsibility. And we all have a role in that, and that's something that I take pride in, and I hold to myself and everyone to a very high standard.
Well, thank you guys both for being with me here today. Thank you, everyone out there, for being with us here today. Just below us is Media Day here at the NBA Finals. The Suns and Bucks getting ready to address what is one of the biggest moments of so many players' careers. We will have all of the sound, all of the action for you. Welcome to The Jump.
His viewpoint tonight.
This year in the playoffs against Brooklyn, we were down 3-2. Was able to force a Game 7 and win the game on their home court. So I think, you know, we've been through a lot. We've been through it all. We know it's not going to be easy. We know it's not going to be tough. There's times where we're going to be down in the series, but the series isn't over yet if we're down. We still got to keep competing and just playing.
Back to the Valley, Malika Andrews joins us. You were there on the sidelines, and you heard from the Bucks afterwards. We heard a bit from Giannis. We just heard from Middleton. How do you best summarize what you got from them in this Game 1?
Well, the most important thing about this game one for the Milwaukee Bucks, Scott, as you know, is that Giannis Antetokounmpo, not only was he back, not only was he able to play, but he was his physical self. And Chris Middleton said, you know what, Giannis probably isn't at 100%, but I would say he's at about 90%. And Giannis Antetokounmpo said that after the game, he still hasn't watched that clip of him hyperextending his left knee. But he did say that after that moment, he said, I thought that I was going to be out for an entire year. So the fact that he was playing in this game one, the fact that the MRI showed that it wasn't something that was more catastrophic, that he was able to work. He said he's been doing pool sessions, rehab sessions, treatment. He said 24 hours a day. This has been a full-time job for him. So the fact that it was able to work to the degree that he was able to come back and look pretty close to his normal self, that in itself was a victory for the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, that doesn't mean it translated to a victory in game one tonight, but Giannis said that now he sort of knows what his body can do. He can feel out his limitations a little bit more and then hope to be more aggressive and get a win in game two. But honestly, Scott, after a loss, knowing how competitive Giannis Antetokounmpo is, this was some of the most relaxed and reflective that I have seen him in my 3 years covering him, Scott.
That's really interesting because I felt the same way. Like people were basically saying, we don't believe you and what he had to say about his knee. But he was just like, look, I'm trying my best not to make it about my knee, even though we all want to. And I feel like for basically the last 90 minutes on our show, Malika, we've hammered home the point that the Bucks did a lousy job on defense. They let Paul pick his spots. The Bucks have alluded to the fact they want to look at the tape. Adjustment-wise, what's the sense of what they're going to try to do differently in game two?
Well, one of the focuses for them, right, they're going to need to take a look at Drew Holiday a little bit because when Giannis Antetokounmpo was out, Drew Holiday was getting to the rack. He was so aggressive in that way. And I asked him about it postgame because he'd said to me before that he felt that when Giannis is out, he needs to make up for that aggression a little bit more. And that wasn't totally there tonight. He said he felt like he was good for the team in other ways, but it was just a poor shooting night for him. And he said he knows that he's going to need to step that up. So it's going to start there. And then in addition to that, when I was speaking with the Bucks coaches at halftime, I was told, look, we need to be getting Drew Holiday in more pick and roll situations. We need to not be letting the Suns play with such pace. Devin Booker, even though he wasn't shooting great to start the game, he was still able to take so many trips to the free throw line. And so those are some things that they're going to try to avoid to try to steal a game here in Phoenix in game two.
Yeah, they didn't get to the finals because they've lost a bunch, but when they have, they've gone 4-1 since the loss. So that's good news for the Bucks as they get ready for Thursday night. Malika, I don't know if you're on the next Sports Center or not. You can let your family know that, but we thank them for watching you here on Sports Center with us as always. We appreciate you.
Thanks so much, Scott. I'm sure my parents will be thrilled.
Right on. We're big. Saw from his two-time MVP, Giannis, tonight.
I thought there were a lot of good things. I mean, I think, considering, 5 days and, what he's been through these last 5, 6, 7 days, I think, 17 rebounds, 20 points, some great playmaking, passing, defending the rim. He's just like everybody else. I'm sure we'll find some things where he could be better. And, I think, usually it takes him playing. He's a rhythm guy. So, I'm excited about, how he'll improve from game one to game two. We'll see how he feels. But, I think play-wise, he always gets better when he plays.
We welcome Tim Legler back now as promised. And what's so fun about having you here is I can just come in the office where you're taking your notes and watching and just kind of just shake my head and giggle at what we're watching here thinking, this approach from the Bucks doesn't seem like it's going to work. What can you show us about what Chris Paul did?
When they lay me to rest, it's going to say on my tombstone, here lies a guy who never understood unnecessary switches and drop coverage. All right, I'm telling you right now.
Big-ass tombstone.
I don't get it. It is going to be because I don't get it, and the Phoenix Suns were prepared for it. Mm-hmm. And, some things you put in terms of sets that you want to try to execute. Other things are just reads that you teach over the course of a season. And here's what I'm talking about, this unnecessary switching. I just don't get why. If you're PJ Tucker, you're on the ball. No screen is set. This is not a screen. This is a slip. There is absolutely no reason right here why Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to jump out. Why not just on this slip, just let Giannis go with him? You wanted PJ Tucker on Chris Paul for a reason at the start of the possession. Just leave it that way, but they don't. Instead, Here you go. You got the switch. All right, now you got DeAndre Ayton on P.J. Tucker. The only question is, how are we going to get him to basketball? You see Chris Paul looking in right there. He doesn't like the way this looks because you got two help guys right here ready to pinch. That's not a great angle. So now here's where the instinct kicks in, and this comes through repetition. Let's get it to the corner. Again, you still got the mismatch in the post. P.J. Tucker fronting. Take a look at the weak side. This is not a good passing angle. Taking a look in there. So how do you get him to basketball? Instincts. You teach us over the course of a season. Let's flash middle. Let's get the ball right here. Great read right here from the weak side by Johnson right there. Freeze it. Now P.J. Tucker is going to front. He's still fronting the entire time. The problem is this is a 7-footer down here. Yep. This is easy pitch and catch. This is literally a practice drill that you anticipate when a team fronts, go high, low. That's as easy as it gets for DeAndre Ayton. Now here's the other one, the drop coverage. Starts off to run some action, and really all they're trying to do is get this guy occupied. Brook Lopez is looking all over here because they wanted Devin Booker off a single double. I love the Suns because they always get into quick secondary action. Watch how fast DeAndre Ayton sprints up, and he's going to leave Brook Lopez in the dust. And now Chris Paul is going to come off with all kinds of room. Comes off the screen. Look at this cushion. Now, most people will think, let's pull up and shoot that. The problem is Chris Paul doesn't like that shot. He loves coming left, snaking back to the right. So he's going to take Brook Lopez on a nice little ride here, and he's going to get some help from Devin Booker, who clears his man out so Chris Paul can get to that little leaner on the baseline. This is all set up by drop coverage on the initial point of attack. You cannot do this against Chris Paul and Devin Booker. You just can't do it, and I think you're going to see a massive adjustment. Now, I heard Stephen A. talk a little bit about it, and I heard Mark Jackson talking about it. What they need to do is put Drew Holiday and Chris Paul and say, you got to be a dog on him. Hunt him. At 30 feet, go under the screen. You don't have to go over. Inside the three-point line, fight over the top, get a hard hedge from the big, and I want Drew Holiday on Chris Paul's hip as much as he possibly can unless he's in foul trouble. Booker's going to get his numbers. So use other guys on him. Connaughton, P.J. Tucker, Middleton can get him some. Bryn Forbes, go ahead. Chris Paul is the key to this series, and Drew Holiday needs to lock in on him as much as possible.
You think of a quarterback like a vet. Just say Tom Brady, because there's nobody older than him, right? You're trying to disguise a blitz or something. He's going to look at it. He's going to know exactly what's coming. I can't think of a worse point guard to leave in a situation where he could hunt the matchup he wants when you're going to switch than Chris Paul. You could have shown time and time again where he just chose who he wanted to guard him.
Yeah.
You can't let that happen.
And it's not. And tonight it was more as a scorer because that's what was there for him. But there's other plays in this game I could have shown you where he ends up getting like a hockey assist. But again, it leads to the Bucks chasing the ball around like Keystone Cops because they got the matchup they wanted. They broke somebody down off the dribble. They're in the paint, and now the Bucks are reacting to that. I just didn't see anything Milwaukee did tonight that said to the Suns, we are going to dictate to you what we want you to do offensively. Everything they did was set up to react. Can't do it. Chris Paul, Devin Booker are too good at ball screen players. DeAndre Ayton is too good and too skilled and too talented on the slips and the dives when he gets a smaller defender switching onto him. You've got to let these guys play him a little bit more straight up. At least let them fight over some screens. You obviously are going to need help on some screens, but to premeditate switches, like the first example I showed, when no screen is set, and you had P.J. Tucker on Chris Paul for a reason, no screen is set, and now let him go run with Ayton and let Giannis jump out on the guard, and eventually now the Suns are just going, okay, we practiced this drill. Let's go to the corner, run some high-low, and get DeAndre Ayton a layup. It was so clockwork. Give Monty Williams all the credit in the world. They've watched a lot of film on this team. They anticipated the switches, and they hammered them every time they did. But I do think it was easy pickings for the Suns. This was not, rocket science out there for them, for a guy like Chris Paul to figure this out. Get what you want by calling out who you want to set the screen. There's got to be a massive adjustment on the part of Mike Budenholzer. And if there isn't, they can't beat this team.
There you go. You mentioned Drew Holiday. He spoke afterwards about his mindset defensively tonight.